It's really great to be here. This is my first presentation at the Boyer University. It's really amazing to have this connection, and then so really appreciate the opportunity. And feel free to contact us anytime for anything. We'll be happy to be of your assistance. Okay, so what I will present today is sort of the face-to-face version of the how to use open educational resources training that we have been offering since September 2013. So we have this 2-week online training, fully facilitated asynchronous, and you guys are all welcome to join if you like. And then we'll talk more about the training later. This morning at 11, which is now, we will talk about the concept of open educational resources that are related, and some other related concepts too, such as open license and public domain. And so first time we adopted open educational resources in the Washington State community college system was 2000. I think it's 2000. Oh my God, 2010 or 11, and then I was a project lead and I forgot the year. And so we launched a statewide project, and we were developing 81 courses, and there were press releases everywhere, and we were getting that reputation. And then I realized that a lot of people in our system, including myself, we didn't really exactly know what open education resources are and how to use them in the classroom. So there were a lot of discussions like this level, conceptual level, philosophical level, but not at actual practical implementation level. So that's when we realized that we needed to develop this really ground level basic training that will guide faculty through the steps, in implementing open education resources in the classroom. So morning session will really dive into explore the concept of those. It won't be boring, I promise. And in the afternoon, we'll do a lot of hands-on practice in finding and applying and using and properly citing open educational resources in your teaching material. So I really do strongly recommend that you come to the afternoon session, because we will really go through, I will really help you find the quality open education resources in your discipline and how to take them and safely adding them in your document and then putting the proper attribution. You know, you're all professors, you're faculty, and you found this amazing resource from one of the websites that you just found this perfect resource. And then you wanted, instead of just hyperlinking to that web page, you wanted to add that content to your class material. But as a great teacher as you are, you're very sensitive to the copyright issues, right? So very sensitive. So you couldn't just take the materials and then just stuff in it and then just putting in your classroom material. You wanted to check the copyright status, but that website doesn't provide any terms of use, no copyright notice, no information of the author, so you didn't know who to contact to get the permission. I have been in the situation like this so many times. With all of this experience, knowledge with copyright, I just still visit so many websites that have amazing resources that do not come with this clear copyright notice. So when you're in the situation like this, there's really nowhere to go. It's either just stealing the material or giving up. And so, I thought, wouldn't it have been really nice if the, resource somehow said, I'm free to use, no strings attached, just cite me properly, do whatever you like. That would be beautiful. So OER is the answer to that kind of need. It's open educational resources are freely available resources, online or offline, that are freely available to anyone in the world. That's a basic kind of definition of open educational resources. So the resource that comes with the tag like I'm free to use, no strings attached, no need to ask for the permission because it's already granted, and just cite me properly. So that's how I understand open educational resources. So in a fancier term though, so open educational resources, the format, it could be in any medium, digital or otherwise, you will see a lot of OER definitions out there that said online materials, but in my experience, I just have encountered a lot of open educational resources that were in printed materials, not in the digital materials. So I would say format could be in any medium, and conditions that either reside in the public domain and have been released under an open license, and that which permits their free use and repurposing by others. In order to be an open educational resources, it had to stay in the public domain. It had to reside in the public domain or have been released under one of the open licenses out there. So that is the general definition that's being used by many renowned open educational resources organizations and plus UNESCO. But I just broke down like this so that I can understand it better. Let's talk about public domain, which is one of the conditions that makes open educational resource, right? I think we all have general understanding of what public domain means. But could anyone tell me what you think public domain means?
The time has run out or actually it's presented, it's like a government, so it was created.
That's excellent,
Okay.
which is one of the cases that makes a work fall into the public domain. So we will discuss that later. But generally, I think that public domain work is a creative work that is not protected by copyright law, period. So works in the public domain are those whose intellectual property rights have expired, have been forfeited, or not applicable anymore. So, so the work in the public domain, so this is the image that I have in my mind. So you created this work, and then you actually give it to public, and that's not yours anymore. And so you don't have the ownership of the work anymore because you gave it to the public, and then. So public are not even compelled to cite you, although it's always nice to cite the author, right? And they are not required to do so because you don't have the ownership anymore, therefore it's not protected by the copyright law. So that's an easy concept that I have about public domain. So these are some of the cases these are some of the major cases that make a certain work fall into the public domain. The first case is the term of copyright for the work has expired. So that means, so as a general rule, a lot of work fall into the public domain because of old age. So according to the copyright law, any work that was published in the United States before 1923, they are all automatically fall into the public domain, with a very few exceptions. But if you ever found a work that was published before 1923, you can safely assume that it is the public domain work and safe to use. So, and then case number 2, it never had copyright protection or its protection was lost. So this usually explains those work that, so if you, in the United States, those works that was published before 1989, till then, there was a requirement. In order to claim a copyright, the work has to be produced with a copyright notice. So nowadays, the moment that the work is created, you get the copyright protection. You have the full copyright. You don't have to put any notice. It is assumed. But till 1983, March 1st, work has to be produced with copyright notice in order to be protected by copyright law. So if you see a work that was published before 1989, March 1st, and it doesn't have the copyright notice, it is in the public domain. Therefore, it is safe to use. And then, so number 3, the work was explicitly donated to the public domain. So it's so the work that was published with a very clear notification from the author that I'm giving my work to the public domain, therefore it's not mine anymore. So I actually donated a few infographics that I created to the public domain using Wikimedia. So people still choose this option a lot these days, and then it's because public domain is the purest form of OER. I think it's really a classy thing to do. And then Case number 4, the work is a work of the U.S. government. So by law, by copyright law, all of the works produced by U.S. federal governments, they all automatically fall into the public domain, unless there is a special arrangement with a contractor. It was work for hire, and there was a special term in the contract, and then there is a limit in expression. Unless so, except those very few cases, most works, almost 9 out of 10 times, any works produced by federal government, they are automatically in the public domain. So for example, the building codes, or hazard map, or a flood map published by, say, Department of Natural Resources, all of them are in the public domain. So you don't even have to ask for the permission. I would still cite them probably, although it is not required. But that's the thing. So, but about this though, so while the law clearly states how federal government produced work should be treated, there is no law or regulation or recommendation that gives that states how the state government produced work or local government produced work should be treated. There's no regulation, nothing. So a lot of state governments and local governments they are putting their work out there for the public use, but sometimes with a big copyright logo because they weren't aware of the copyright they weren't aware of the copyright. Most cases they are not even aware of the copyright logo on their website, but they intended to share with the public. So that is something that needs to be discussed. So sometimes I get the question about how about the state government produced work, and how about local government produced work. So that's why I wanted to mention that. So when you do see a work that you really want to adopt from the state government website, like State Board, I think it is safe to assume that it's made for the public. You can use it, but I would always check with the agency contact. You'll get 10 out of 10 times you'll get the permission, but still it's always nice and safe to check. That's always the best practice. Any questions so far? Yes, ma'am.
So next year, will things published prior to 1924 be open?
Oh no, it's
So 1923 is a
Yeah.
constant?
yeah,
It's staying.
exactly, always. Any work published before 1923, unless it's really rare, but sometimes the descendants of the author, they manage to claim the copyright at some point, but it's very rare. So it's almost, I would say, not 10 out of 10 times, but 99% of the time, the work produced before 1923 are in the public domain. And so that we just discussed public domain is one of the conditions that makes open education a resource. And another condition is open license. But before we talk about open license, can anyone tell me what license means? What is license? How do you understand license? It's a very broad term, so I think we can go in any direction.
Granting other uses?
Exactly.
Agreement?
Exactly. I'm so glad that you mentioned both the words agreement and granting permission, because to me, license is a sort of document that specifies what can and cannot be done with a work. It grants permission and it states restriction. So have that concept before we talk about open license. So broadly speaking, an open license is one that grants permission to access, reuse, and redistribute a work with few or no restrictions. So allow me to give you a bit of background of this whole open license thing. So you know this whole open source code movement in the computer software world, and then I think they have been widely sharing this computer source code to create and share and redistribute, and they came up with this licensing system for the program code. I think in 1983, I'm not sure, but in 1983 around that time, and then so since then they have been sharing everything, computer-related things, like they came up with open hardware licenses, open source software licenses, like GNU is one of them, and open game licenses. Now they have open database licenses. So, the people in that world, computer software world, they have been, so they they're aware of this whole open license issue about how to share and distribute under defined terms, and they have been doing that for long years, almost 20 years. No, almost 35 years. And then, what about the works? Rest of the knowledge, rest of the materials, educational materials and knowledges out there that need to be shared. So the group of educators, to resolve that, the group of educators, law scholars, lawyers, lawmakers, and a lot of investors and technologists and programmers, they got together in 2001 and they built a non-profit organization called Creative Commons. So that's the birth of Creative Commons. And then so they said, they came up with, so they all put their heads together and came up with this set of open licenses that helps people share their materials easily under defined terms. Yeah, in summary, Creative Commons license is one of the open licenses out there, but it's most widely used, most common and most popular open license out there for the educational materials. Yeah, so these days it's almost treated like open license for educational resources equal to Creative Commons license. They're almost considered as the same thing. So this is what I already explained. So Creative Commons licenses, they truly really brought clarity and ease to sharing materials along. And I really want but before we dive into Creative Commons licenses, talking about so what kind of licenses they have, the principles they have, the elements they have. Let's just watch one video.
Have you ever wondered how to download and share digital content legally? How do you let people know that you want them to reuse your own work? Creative Commons licenses can help you do both. We'll show you how. Our world's exploded with digital opportunities. Now we can communicate, share, and work together using the exceptional distribution network that is the Internet. Information and content can fly between us in exciting new ways. But it's important to know that when something is created, say a photo, a document, or a music track, it's automatically protected by copyright. Copyright enables people to say who can share and reuse their creations. You must always obtain someone's permission before sharing or reusing their work, even when it's posted online. But what if a creator wants everyone to use their work, without the hassle of granting permission over and over? This is where Creative Commons can help. Creative Commons provides licensing tools that are free to use. You can apply a license to your work, which refines your copyright and streamlines how you give permission. Zach here downloads a photo called CC Kiwi that he wants to use in his science project. He can do this without asking Kiri, the photographer, first, because she's already given permission with a Creative Commons license. Kiri's license is legally robust, but easy for Zach to understand. She's told the world, including Zach, that they can use CC Kiwi as long as they acknowledge her as the original photographer. There are more rules Kiri could have included. Creative Commons licenses are made up of license elements. You can think of them as rules, and each have their own special symbol. This is attribution. It means that Zach must acknowledge Kiri when he publishes his science project containing her photo. This is non-commercial. It means no one else but Kiri is permitted to make money from CC Kiwi. Tim wants to print the photo onto t-shirts and distribute them to friends. He can do this, but he must not sell them. This is no derivatives, and it means that Kiri hasn't given permission to change her photo. Kate can use CC Kiwi on her design blog, but will need to ask Kiri before retouching or mixing up the image. And this is share alike. It means new creations that use CC Kiwi need to carry the same license. Jack incorporates his own remix of CC Kiwi in his video installation, but he must share the work under the same terms that Kiri has. Each Creative Commons license gives permission to share and includes the attribution rule. So people who find your Creative Commons licensed work are automatically allowed to share it, but are required to acknowledge you if they do. The other three license elements are optional, and you can choose which ones to add, if any. Here are the 6 combinations that make up Creative Commons licenses. The difference between them is how many rules apply when someone wishes to use your work. The attribution license allows reusers the most freedom, and the attribution non-commercial no derivatives license allows the least freedom. The attribution license and the attribution share-alike licenses are sometimes referred to as free cultural works approved licenses. These three licenses restrict commercial use of a work. And these two licenses do not give permission for adapting or remixing. These two licenses require new works to be licensed under the same terms. To choose and apply one of these licenses, and to view their terms in more detail, visit us at creativecommons.org.nz. Or you can answer some questions to help you decide which license best suits your needs at creativecommons.org/choose. There are some good ways to find other people's Creative Commons licensed work online. You can use a search filter by going to the Creative Commons website. Or why not try the Jamendo website for music, Flickr for images, or Digital NZ for New Zealand content. Using Creative Commons licenses could help your creations reach more people. Maybe you want to connect with others across the globe and take turns at improving a report. Or maybe you just want to have fun, remixing someone else's work. Whatever reason you have to share your work, you'll find there are scientists, educators, companies, and public agencies who are using Creative Commons. By opening up permission, just imagine how much we can achieve. Collaborating on what we hold in common, being open about big decisions, and finding solutions in the spaces between us. Let's work together, confidently and legally. It's good to share with Creative Commons.
Like as we just have watched, so there are 4 elements that makes 6 Creative Commons licenses. And then this has been explained in the video, but I will just go over one more time. So the first element is called attribution, and this means that you can do whatever you like with the work as long as you sign it properly. So, and then next element is called no derivatives. So you can copy, distribute, and you can copy and distribute, and then you can even sell it, but you cannot change the content. So you can't make any modification of the work. And then third one is called share-alike. So you can change and distribute and sell and whatever you like, but when you redistribute your work, it better be under the identical license of the original work. And the last element is called non-commercial, and I think it's easy. You cannot make any profit out of it. You can sell it. So these are not Creative Commons licenses. They are the key elements, and Creative Commons mixed and matched these 4 elements and made six licenses. So remember, there are 6 Creative Commons licenses. But before we discuss the 6 Creative Commons licenses, it's really important to remember the acronym of each element, because Creative Commons changed their best practice last year. That in the past, the recommended attribution form was that so-and-so work is released under Creative Commons attribution, no derivative works license. But the new recommended form of attribution is that so-and-so work by so-and-so person is released under acronym alone. So it's really important. So a lot of people are putting their creative works, CC license works out there with acronym alone. So we have to understand what they are. So acronym for attribution is by someone, or by the author. An acronym for no derivative works is ND, no derivative, and SA for share alike, SA. And then what would be the acronym for non-commercial?
NC.
That's right. So they were not being very creative, but for attribution, I really wish that they use something else like A, B, or to be consistent with the rest of them. But it is by anyway. So remember these acronyms, because I'll make you to do it after this. So okay. So these are the 6 Creative Commons licenses that they developed based on those 4 elements. They mixed and matched, as you can see. So I'll just go over first. So attribution license means that you can do whatever you can take my work as long as you cite me properly, and you can do whatever you like. And then the second one, attribution no derivatives license, means that you can take my work as long as you cite me properly, but you can't change the content. Next one, you can take my work, you can change the content, but you cannot sell it. And when you redistribute the work, it needs to be under the identical license. Next one, you can take my work as long as you cite me properly, and it needs to be redistributed under the identical term. Next one, you can take my work as long as you cite me properly, and you cannot sell it. And next one, you can take my work as long as you cite me properly, you cannot sell it, you cannot change the content. So it's a really easy concept. So do you notice that all 6 licenses have the common feature in it? What is it? Exactly. So that's a common requirement for all 6 Creative Commons licenses. Whichever Creative Commons license that you end up using, there is this common requirement that you need to make the proper attribution. So which will be the main activity that we will do this afternoon about how to make the proper citation.
What happens if you create something and you want to be anonymous, but you want it to be out there?
Oh, so that is the next activity, which is very nice thing that you mentioned. So as an author, you can do whatever you want with your work. You don't have to put your name on it. And then you can even, so don't forget that releasing your work under an open license means that you still retain all of the copyright. So you didn't waive your copyright. So even after you release your work under, let's say, attribution CC BY, you can change your mind. It is allowed. So later you can change your mind. Oh, I better put NC in it too. So you can put you can put NC there, and you can remove author information. You can do whatever you like. The only one thing that you cannot do is that let's say you created this beautiful image and infographic in your discipline, and then you put it out there CC BY, and then somebody took your work under the CC BY term, and then later you changed your mind to put NC in there too, but you cannot stop that person. You cannot stop that person using that work under the original term that you released. So even if you later claim that, oh, I changed my mind, I'm going to put NC in it, but because that person took your work when it was released under CC BY, that person can still sell it. So licensing is a serious issue. We have to think twice. That's why people said that's why there is a saying that Creative Commons licenses are not it is not revocable. You can revoke it. You can change your mind and release it under a different term later, but the work that was taken with an old license system, you can't stop them. It's out there. So you have to think twice about the condition that you're going to put. Are you really okay with CC BY? Are you really okay are you really okay by not allowing them to sell it? Are you really okay with allowing them to modify the content too? So that's what I always recommend. While releasing your work under one of Creative Commons license is a noble and classy move, but it is your work and you hold a copyright license, and you have to think twice about the terms of use that you'll release your work under. So that's why I prepared this infographic to explain the relationship with the copyrighted works with all rights reserved, with and public domain work and open licensed work. So, you know, in the past, in old days, there were only 2 ways of sharing your work. You know, there were only 2 ways of having your work out there. One way was just with full copyright with all rights reserved, meaning that it's mine. Don't take my work without my permission. Don't do anything. It's really mine, and you can't touch it. You can't use it without my permission. That's clear. That's what all rights reserved copyright means. And then another way was just giving up your right entirely, and then it's not mine anymore, it's public work, and you do whatever you like. So it was just one of these two ways. But most people are in the middle, because most people, especially a lot of educators that I met in the past, they were just sort of, I still want to retain my ownership. It's still mine, but I don't mind sharing. So for that, people came up with this idea of open license. So let me show you this infographic. So all rights reserved means copyright ownership still retained and author does not grant rights to public. And no rights means public domain and copyright ownership completely waived. So an author gives away rights to the public completely. But open license is about giving some rights to the public. So copyright ownership still retained and author simply grants rights to the public. And OER, and then public domain work and openly licensed work are called OER. Does that help? So that's a relationship of these three domains of, three ways of sharing knowledge. And so I would think that public domain, work in the public domain is the purest form of OER that gave up everything. And all rights reserved copyright is, of course, the most closest in the form of sharing. So does this infographic help? Mm-hmm. Thank you. And then one of the things that I wanted to mention is that when I first got into this whole OER business at the state board, I was highly offended by the concept. I just didn't say it. I was highly offended by the concept because I spent, almost like all of us, like most of us, we spent 10 years in graduate school. We were highly trained to value the intellectual ownership. I was mad at the people who values the copyright, ownership of somebody's car and the house, but they don't value the ownership of in the intellectual property that I spent years to develop, right? So I thought, oh, OER is asking me to give up my right as an author, and the work that I spent 10 years of my life, I don't want to. I'm still the owner, and I was highly offended by the concept, and I had a problem with the business. And then the more I learned about open educational resources and learned the real concept of open license, I realized that it has nothing to do with giving up my right as an author. It is almost the opposite. It is as if claiming my authorship loudly than ever. It's really reinforcing your ownership, clearly saying that it's yours. It's mine. It's really mine. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. But I don't mind sharing. So that's a concept of open license. And after that, I became an advocate. So it took a while to get the concept. The concept itself is easy, but it did require some kind of philosophical shift. And then so I would understand if some of you feel, I don't know, that way, or you guys passed that stage already. So I wanted to show you a little more resources. So do you remember the training that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation? This the free, fully online, asynchronous, 2-week-long training that we offer bi-monthly. And this training was designed for our community college faculty, but I'll be more than happy to have you guys in the training. And actually anybody in your university, I'll be happy to have them all. And in fact, we actually are one of 4 open partners who are supporting the grantees from the Department of Labor. So we have had grantees of the Department of Labor grants, and we have faculty all over the country. I get a phone call from Florida, Tennessee, and everywhere asking for the consultation, and they wanted to have our training. So we have them all. So it's okay. You come, and then it's free, and then just let me know that you are interested, and then I'll send you the special link that we prepared for those outside system faculty. And because you guys don't have the SID number, can't go through our regular registration system. So, and then, and of course it's free, so don't worry about that too. And I wanted to actually show you the inside of the training quickly so that you can, so that you can have the right expectation of the training. So this is a Canvas training, and so there is a first module, we will do fun interactivity, and in the second module, we'll go over what I went over today. And then we'll discuss what open educational resources means, and we'll discuss further in depth about open license and about Creative Commons license. And in Module 5, we'll do a very specific, in-depth, step-by-step activity on finding CC licensed video, CC licensed image, CC licensed course material, and CC licensed open textbook, which we will do this afternoon. And then, most importantly, after that, we will work on how to make the proper citation. And then, if you guys are used to MLA or APA, it will be so easy. It's the same concept, same mental, same framework, so only in a simpler form. And then, and then in Module 6, we talk about public domain, all the possible cases. And in the final module, we'll discuss the benefits and challenges of OER. And then there are about 7 assignments and 3 quiz, and it's 2-week course, so it's a little bit intensive. It is an intensive course, and then you don't pass it is a pass or fail system, so there is no middle point. So you can either 10 full marks or 0. But I received. I'm not trying to say that how great our training is, but I received so many positive feedback from our faculty, and they're not really that. So the feedback have been very, very positive, and then I have this website that I collected that our previous participants voluntarily posted their feedback. So I can share that website with you too. It's public when it's out there. So and then the one thing they always, that one comment that I constantly get is that it has been very intensive. It took a lot of hours, but it was definitely worth it. And I'm gonna go back to my colleague and my department and share this news. So we have provided this training bi-monthly, and each time I never had a training with less than 60 or 80 participants, and that's huge. And then next resource that I'd like to share is Open Washington website. So you are part of Washington, so it's your website too. so Open Washington, it is intended for the general public, not just for the faculty in the Washington system, but nice thing. So under Learn OER, there are 7 modules. This is a self-paced version of self-paced workshop. Self-paced version of our facilitated training. So today you guys had a face-to-face version, this is self-paced version, and online is the facilitated version. So you can take anything that fits you better. And then, so you can go through, and then there is a video and step-by-step instruction for everything with screenshots. And in Find OER, which is our prime flagship feature of this website. So there are a lot of open OER websites out there with with a whole bunch of links to the OER repositories, and then you end up just visiting them one by one and wasting a lot of time and you get lost in wading through the information, and then some of the websites are not even OER, but they had a name OER, so I just couldn't stand that anymore. We ended up developing our own search guide. And then the thing about our search guide is that they are divided by open textbook search, open course material search, open video search, and open image search. And then all of them are pre-selected and then checked for its clarity, quality, and then license status too. There were some websites out there with a big as a big state initiative out there. I won't name which state, but so a big statewide initiative with a beautiful infographics and everything. But when you actually go inside, it was a bunch of resources gathering from all other places without clear category, and some of the resources were not filtered. So they included some of the resources that were fully copyrighted. So I filtered through all of them. And then, the resources over there are, at least they passed our initial whatever filtering, quality, clarity, and license status. So you can trust us on that. And then, when you visit one of them, any of them, you will see their unique traits. They are not copied from their About Us page. It's just our impression. So what's important and what's not, and unique traits. And then, so it says possibly the most widely adopted. It's purely our opinion. It's mostly my opinion. And then, and then their license setting. And then most materials are licensed under this, and this lets you this. And then sample attribution too. So you can just copy and paste this attribution to. So also all of the OER repositories are with these informations. Another very impressive feature that has been in our press release and other colleges' press releases too. So we interviewed 9 faculty who implemented open educational resources in their classroom very extensively. And then, so we interviewed them, and then they shared their journey in how they encountered OER and what they went through, what worked and what didn't, what they visioned, and all of them are in here. So, and then they're all teaching different subjects, math to science to the art to, that's all I can remember. And so there are 9 of them, so please go and listen to it, and it's really impressive and fun. And then these are OER news, and then where we share statewide OER-related news, and which doesn't have a very fancy look, and we will change it into something else. We are already in phase 2, and we just released this about a few months ago, but we are working on phase 2 revision, and then so it will be constant revision of this website. So the resource on this website will never stay obsolete. It will always be updated. And then resource number 3 that I wanted to share with you is, where was that? Oh, so we just created a mailing list. And then what was amazing was that I just created mailing list actually 2 days ago. And then before I came over here, I just created one and sent out announcement to just 2 of our distribution list. And so I wanted to do a proper promotion this week, and so proper promotion next week, and then overnight I had 151 people subscribed. So overnight, without putting in so much effort for promotion. So that actually tells the level of interest in OER in our system, and I think it will be great to have you guys in this mailing list too. We constantly send out all of the opportunities for workshops and grants and anything interesting will be all sent out to that listserv. So so how to join this training and more information about this website and how to join this mailing list, email me. And then if you email me, then I will just send you all the information, or I can just send one information to Justina and she can distribute to you guys. So all you need to remember is the email address. And then I basically do research, policy development, and consultation. So consultation is one of my job descriptions. So please feel free to call me anytime, email me anytime. I'll be happy to have a sit down and talk and about your classroom OER implementation.